Thank you all for joining, especially giving up a little bit of your Wednesday evening. We know that this is a crazy time for you to be thinking about coming to college, and so we appreciate you taking time. We hope tonight to answer questions about our college and our plans for this upcoming semester. So with me today to help do that, I have Dr. Kevin Pond, who serves as the Dean for the Paul Engler College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences. Mrs. Rebecca Bachman, who serves as the Assistant Dean, and then Deanna Moore is with us as well. And so Deanna is going to be answering questions through the chat box. So at any time that you have questions this evening, feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat room, and Deanna will make sure to answer those. We'll also have time towards the end for you to ask questions. And so we ask that you just leave yourself muted until we get to that time. If you have a question, you can use the Zoom feature to raise your hand. And you can find that by going to your More tab, and then you'll have a raise your hand button, and we'll be able to call on you from that. But again, just wanted to thank you for your time. If you can turn on your video, we ask that you do that. Like to get to see your faces. And thanks again for joining, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Pond.
Boy, it's great to see everyone on the screen. We wish you were in person, but it's good to see so many faces on the screen. What we'd like to do tonight, as Zach said, is talk a little bit about since our last time we visited. We did change our time that we are meeting. The first time, you may remember, for those of you that were with us, we met at noon. The request was made, can you do it after 5? So we moved this one to after 5, and hopefully a few more that missed it the first time can see us this time. I'd like to give a little bit of background about what we've been doing to prepare for students' arrival. And Ms. Bachman is going to go through some more details about the college as well. But I want to tell you that we are all very, very excited to have students back on campus. In fact, we've had a little bit of that because of the orientation of the RAs for the dorms has occurred in our building. So there's been a buzz of students in and out and involved utilizing our facilities, and they're doing all kinds of planning for the arrival of your loved ones. So we're excited for that. A few things have happened. We have clarity on many things. So one of those I wanted to talk about is masks. Face masks will be required if they're in a public area, if they're inside, if they're in the classroom. Masks will be required of all of the students and of the faculty, and that is to protect each other, but also to protect some of our faculty members who might be older, might be in a risk category that would be susceptible to getting COVID. We do not want to put them in a position that they can't be teaching for us. So we will be having masks for everyone. And actually, part of the incoming gift for all of the new students coming will be a mask representing the college. So they will hopefully bring some of their own, but they will also have one from our college to be able to see who else is in the college and who the new students are. So I think that'll be great. Some of the preparations that have been done. Those of you that have been here and toured on campus, you'll find that there are many more hand sanitizing stations throughout the building. So you're standing waiting for the elevator, there's a hand sanitizer. You're at the top of the stairs, there's a hand sanitizer. You're in front of the touch screens, there'll be a hand sanitizer. There'll also be sanitation wipes and so forth available at classes when students go into the classes. To be able to disinfect the area that they're going to be. So we're trying to do as many things as we can. Rebecca will talk about some of the details of that, but I think we have known all along we wanted to go face-to-face. And in the College of Ag and Natural Sciences, many of our classes really have to be that way, especially if they have laboratories. And so we have gone to extreme efforts to plan ways that we can do that, which Rebecca will talk about. I think the other thing that really feels important is that we need to make sure that your loved ones, students, get engaged quickly. Not having new student orientation, having a modified buff branding. We have a couple of opportunities that we have planned that will get them engaged for sure. And the first one of those will be on the 21st, which is the Friday after move-in. They will have activities associated with the Buff Nation. Some of it will be virtual, some of it will be activities that they'll be involved with. But between 10 o'clock and noon, and then we'll have lunch with them. So really between 10 and 1 o'clock on Friday, the 21st, we will have them going to their individual departments and interacting with faculty and other students so they get to know each other a little bit more. We will be in masks. It will be some outside, some inside. We'll learn a little bit more about social distancing and so forth, but have some good time and get to know each other a little bit better. We'll then all get back together on campus, come to the Ag Sciences building where we will have lunch together. And that will be a good opportunity for the natural sciences folks to be able to see the Ag building. And we have more space. If the weather is tough, we have more space to be able to do that here than we would in the NSB. So we're excited about that part. At that time, they'll also get their welcome bag. And the welcome bag is created by the design of many of our students coming up with, well, what would you want as an incoming student to WT? And so I won't give it away, but we have some really neat things. In fact, a few people that have been helping us stuff those bags, they're requesting, well, can I have one of those? Well, can I have one of those? We said, no, it's for the incoming students. So if we have some left over, maybe, but probably not. So we're excited about that. So they'll have be truly branded with the Paul Engler College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences. So we're excited about that. So I'll have that time with them. Then after they've been in classes and so forth for a week or so, on Tuesday, the 1st of September, we have another event. We have it annually. It's a little bit different style this year, but it will be our back to school extravaganza, as Rebecca likes to call it. And that is a time when all students, both new students and returning students, come together and we do all kinds of neat activities. The favorite last year that we started was that students get to brand not each other. Don't have a panicked look on your face. I saw a couple looks like brand. No, we're branding a board, a cedar board with a WT. In fact, I've got one. Maybe we'll bring it from the wall here in a minute, but Zach's going to do that, it looks like. The WT, Zach's not a very good brander, it looks like, but no, it's a WT, and he also put his year of graduation. So it'll be an opportunity for them to brand their own piece. And if they want to put their year of expected graduation, that's great, but it'll be fun for them to have something they can put in their dorm room. They can send it home with them if they want. But that'll be one of the many activities that we have, along with some food. We've always found that T-shirts and food are what attract college students. So most of our events will have one or both. The dairy industry has been very, very good to us, and they are providing more ice cream than we can all eat. And so we will have Bluebell ice cream and floats at that event for the extravaganza. And we will have some cheese sticks and ice cream sandwiches for the event on the 21st. You will find that we have ice cream at most events that I'm involved with, because that's one of my favorite things. In fact, at 3 o'clock every day, plan your visits to come to the dean's office. At 3 o'clock, we have ice cream every day. So join us for that. So we're excited about having the students here. We think we've done protective measures for everyone in terms of hand sanitizers and sanitations between that. Rebecca will talk more about the classes. One thing I want to put in a plug for, and I hope most of you are receiving it, but we do have a weekly publication that we do send out of the dean's office called the Buff Brief, and it covers activities that are going on. It covers what's coming up. It talks about our great faculty, our great students, different things are going on, talks about alumni and jobs and so forth. So it is directed towards students, but to be honest, the most frequent readers are the alumni and the parents. So please take advantage of looking at that. And if you haven't seen that, send a note to Deanna and she will make sure that your email address is on that, and we'll get you signed up. And if you don't like it and say, I don't want to hear any more about that, cut it off. But I'll give you just a tidbit. We had our first national champion team of 2020 in our Meat Science Quiz Bowl. Now, it was a virtual contest, but it was outstanding, and they had to beat Colorado State, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and in the finals, they were in against Texas A&M University and won the virtual contest, and well done to the team. So we're excited about what's going on here, and we can't wait to get more students back. So Rebecca, why don't I turn it over to you to cover a little more things, and I'll go on mute, but we'll stay on here if you have questions until you're done asking them. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see your faces. I see some familiar faces from the last time and some new faces. So if you were here last time, be patient with me a little bit while I review a couple of things that might be review for you, but new information for some of your peers. First of all, we have the bulk of classes in our college. And remember that our college is 3 departments: the Department of Agricultural Sciences, the Department of Chemistry and Physics, and the Department of Life, Earth, and Environmental Sciences. And so all 3 departments, I would say probably 70% of our courses are being taught in a face-to-face format this fall. And as you know, because you're choosing a major in one of those 3 areas, all 3 of those areas of study are very practical in nature and have applied laboratories that are going to happen with those areas of study. And so environmental science, geology, chemistry, physics, biology, anatomy and physiology, it's very difficult to get the foundation of education that you'll need without doing hands-on laboratories. And so that's really the foundation of why so many of our classes are offered in a face-to-face format. Within that, there's really 4 class type deliveries within a face-to-face, using face-to-face as a foundation. If we start with general face-to-face classes, these are classes that we anticipate being taught very traditional factor, 2 days a week, with or without a lab. The classrooms have all been assigned so that social distancing is available for a 50% capacity, which means that each classroom will only have 50% capacity of students that it could hold will be in the classroom. Students will be wearing face masks, and we will be expected for them to have distancing that would allow for the faculty to teach in a traditional format. So those classes will meet twice a week. They will probably have very little online assignments due. There will be some, because that's how all classes are now, but in general, the class is going to meet traditionally. As a supplement to face-to-face traditional course, there are classes that are in classrooms that cannot allow for 50% capacity for everyone to be there on the same day. And we've titled those classes are known as high flex. They're still 2-day-a-week classes. There's still an expectation that you will be present twice a week at that class time, but 1 day a week you will be in the classroom. The 2nd day a week you will be attending virtually. And so that is not to be confused with online education, because the class will be held at the day and time it's held every single day, or that it's offered Monday and Wednesday. The number of students that are there on Monday and the number of students that will be there on Wednesday are all going to be socially distanced. Again, there will be safety in the classroom, but the classrooms are not large enough to accommodate the number of people all being in the classroom at one time on both days of the week. The third method of delivery is what we call hybrid. And hybrid is a long-standing method of teaching, which is that 50 to 80% of the class can be administered in a web-based format. And so that's a web-based class, essentially, that meets once a week in the classroom. There's a handful of classes that meet in that way. There are several sciences that are meeting with this format, meaning their lecture will be online, but the laboratories will still go in as scheduled in the lab. And then the last format delivery is web-based coursework. Web-based coursework is completely flexible in the sense that all coursework is administered online. There is no expectation of presence of the students in the classroom or on campus. It is completely flexible in that regard. There's usually a deadline, and students have to meet the deadline. In terms of how a student would know what format is my class, this is all in the schedule of classes. And so if you have a schedule, you can go to your student planning. You must detail into the class itself, and in the detailed part of student planning where it says additional information for the course, there should be a note if the course is high flex. There will not be a note if the course is face-to-face. If the course is face-to-face, that means that it's meeting at the day and time that it's scheduled. But if it is high flex, that is the note that's in that additional information section. Courses that are hybrid and courses that are web-based are already in the schedule that way anyway. And so you should already see that for course location. Course location is where you look to find out if you're in a web-based or on-campus class. Those are really the breakdowns of the delivery methods, and I certainly know there might be questions. I'm happy to answer those. I'm going to take just a couple of more things to tell you about getting started for the semester, and then we'll take some questions. The first thing is that if you haven't gotten if your student has not gotten their email set up, their student email address, please encourage them to do that ASAP. The university has begun sending out the beginning of the semester communications already. And so really important for your students to understand that that is their form of communication with the campus. And so I'd encourage you to get that done. The second thing is that a reminder came out today about textbooks. And if you have not already, if your student has not already purchased their textbook, they need to get on and do that. We have a new textbook supplier this semester, Barnes & Noble, and so the process in the textbook is different. If you have friends that come to WT, or you have parents of friends that have come already and said, you can get your books when you get there, that is not the case this semester. You need to get those taken care of ahead of time, so get on there and get some books purchased, because there is a delay in delivery, and what we don't want to happen is for you to get to class the first week and not have textbooks. So please try to make an effort to encourage your students to get on and do that. The last thing I would just offer is that this is an exciting time to come to campus. And as Dr. Pond mentioned, we are giddy to see your faces this fall. We cannot wait for people to be back on campus. And all that being said is that we do all bear a certain amount of responsibility to keep one another safe during these periods of time. And everybody has a different opinion about the virus and how it's best that you're going to manage it yourself. But what I'm asking you and what we're asking you to do is to join us as we try to make sure that everybody stays safe in the classroom and outside of the classroom. You know, the mandate of wearing the mask in the classroom is about safety, primarily of faculty, but also of young people who have friends and family that they're trying to protect. But also there's a responsibility that we each bear outside of the classroom. If you just put your mask on when you're in the classroom, you put yourself at risk and those that you care about the next time you come. And so my encouragement to you is for you to join us as we try to embark on a semester that does look a little different, but some things are so much the same. And the excitement that we have for you coming is not marred at all by the fact that we're going to have a variety of face masks that we're going to be looking at as we go through the semester. Okay, I'm ready for questions. I haven't been watching, Zach. I'm distracted when that happens, so I try not to watch the chat.
All right. Well, we have quite a few questions.
Yippee!
Be more, I will get to yours in a second, but I want to ask some that kind of tie into directly what Rebecca was just talking about. Rebecca, the first question is, can we tell by looking at our schedule which format the class will be in?
Yeah, well, yes and no. You can't just go to the schedule, but you can go into student planning, go to your view. You can either go to the calendar view or to the list view, but you'll detail into your section and it will give you a note in the additional information area.
All right, thank you. The next question is, so is staggered the same as high flex? I've seen both terms on my daughter's schedule.
Oh, that is a good question. And I appreciate that question. And it is a good point to bring up that we speak about these terms in our college, which are the classes that we teach in our 3 departments. But we, as an institution, there was not any sort of standard language that was used. I think hybrid and staggered would be my impression that is yes. The staggered is a variation of hybrid. But there certainly could be some different expectations. the encouragement I would have, and Dr. Pond and myself have encouraged our faculty to reach out to students that are on their rosters to try to provide information about expectation in the classes in our college. And I expect other faculty will do that also. Faculty are not back on campus until next week. And so the faculty are not yet have returned from summer. And so I would expect that you'd start seeing communication about those specifics next week. But yes, I'm going to say staggered and high flex are the same.
All right, Rebecca, the next couple of questions have to deal with textbooks. How do we know which textbooks we need for our classes? And then I'll just pair the next question with that. Is the list of books currently available, or does the student have to wait for the syllabus to be posted? And if so, when will the syllabi be available, and where will they be posted?
Whoosh, these are great questions, smart questions, people. Let's see. I will try to answer this one. Zach, you might have to help me, but there used to be a link on your Buff Advisor account that took you to your textbooks. And so if any students are on their student planning account or not student planning, Buff Advisor, there used to be a link to get to your textbook list. Now, because we have a new provider in Barnes & Noble this semester, that is why I am not quite confident in saying that it's the same process. But in general, there is usually a textbook list available to you where they take the classes that you're enrolled in and they tell you what the books are. In terms of waiting for a syllabi, the syllabi should all be posted by, Dr. Pond, help me on that date. Do you remember?
I think it's next Tuesday.
Okay. So the syllabi for each class will be posted next Tuesday, and so you should be able to detail in and look at a syllabus. You can also, on the WT website, there is a way for you to go back and look at previous sections of that class, but that's always a little bit of a risk because if they changed an edition or have a different textbook, that's probably not the best option. But we're going to have to do some checking on the textbook where you find the list, because I have to tell you, I don't know the answer to that with the new provider.
The other thing you could do is to directly contact the instructor.
Of course.
And they will be able to tell you that.
We have one more question about textbooks. Shannon says, my daughter has been told by multiple people to wait to buy her books until after the first day because some are not required. Would that be a good idea, or should I buy them ASAP?
Yeah, that is a philosophy that goes around on many campuses. And I would tell you that in the past, that might have been an option for somebody because they could just trot down to the bookstore and pick it up, and then you wouldn't be behind the next day. Not having the books on campus with as much availability as we have in the past, I think that is risky. However, I will tell you that faculty are required to specify if the book is required, recommended, or suggested. Now, the next question someone will say is, what's the difference between recommended and suggested? I sure wish I knew, because I don't know. But for years, we've tried to change that language in the bookstore. We are not having any success with that. However, if it's required, you need to have it. If it's recommended or suggested, historically, that book is available in the library, and you should wait and to decide if you need it. But if it's required, I would strongly urge you to go ahead and purchase the book. The other caveat that I would tell you after many years of being on campus is always save your receipt. Always save your bookstore receipt, because if for some reason you do need to exchange it or sell it or whatever, return it, you must have your receipt.
All right, Rebecca, I'll give you a break and I'll go back to an earlier question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. WT canceled fall team sports. What makes school on campus safer than team sports?
They did not cancel. Lone
And-
Star Conference canceled.
And
So
justify I'm going to finish the asking
I'm
the question.
sorry. I thought that was a question.
No, sir. And justify students on campus when athletes are now no longer involved with sports. And so if you want to take that one, Dr. Pond, you can take it.
Well, I can take part of it. I talked to President Windler today, and I said, well, it's a shame that Lone Star Conference is canceling our sports and football. And he said, well, the conference is canceling, but we will be playing football. So I'm not sure what that means. He didn't indicate exactly what that was going to, how we were going to do that. but his comment was we will have a football games this fall. So, yeah, having student athletes on campus, I think what the conference has done is they haven't canceled it. They have postponed it until spring. And so that included volleyball, and it included basketball and football until spring. So we are disappointed with that, but I think that was a conference decision, and but football may have an alternative that Dr. Wendler is working on.
And I want to piggy off that response to address what makes school on campus safer than team sports. The issue is really not that we're concerned about WT. It's the traveling. It's the being around schools and players from other cities. And so that's where the concern comes in. In fact, practice is still allowed to start on August 24th. So for football. So when classes start, practice for football will be able to start as well. And so it's not a concern that it's necessarily unsafe for practices and for anyone on campus. There's obviously a lot more physical contact and a lot more up close and personal in team sports than there would be in the classroom or anywhere else on campus. So it's not necessarily an issue that WT made the decision because we feel like it's not safe enough for student athletes. Like Dr. Pond said, it was this decision made by the Lone Star Conference. We'll still be practicing coming up here as soon as school starts. So really doesn't have to do with the safety on campus. And then Rebecca, sorry.
In addition, I'm just going to add our rodeo team. That league is we've already approved travel for them to go. So unless there's mandates from the governor or others, that will continue. Same with our horse judging team is going to be traveling in the first part of September. So many things that you can wear a mask for, that will be fine. And if it's outdoors, that is even better. Now for football, obviously you do not play football against an opposing team with a breathing mask on, and that's where they think the transfer will occur. So that's why the conference, in a very controversial decision, voted not to have sports.
Our next question, my son has already been on campus for a while with the summer term 2. What are the protocols if there is a confirmed case of COVID? What happens to that student? My son told me he will get sent home. Can you clarify?
Yes, I can. That is not a true statement. What will happen is if a student does get COVID, the tests are on campus, they're free. If a student does get COVID, they will be asked to be quarantined. Those that are in the dorms, they have 100 dorm rooms and a different location that will be used for quarantining those students. If they wish to go home, that will be an option as well, but there will be a spot for them to be. The classes that they're going to be in, you're going to say, well, everyone in the class is exposed. Well, that's why we're wearing face masks, so that if a person has COVID, it will be contained to their mask if they're properly wearing their masks, and they would not be exposed if they're in the classroom. We will know if someone has COVID, and we will report that, but it will not mean that the class is canceled or that all the students that are in there have to be quarantined. It is just those that test positive.
The next question says, when I click on the link, it opens a new window and it says there are no terms available for ordering or inquiry. I'm assuming that's about ordering.
Oh, I think that may be the old link on the Buff Advisor account. I think if you'll go to the bookstore account, if you just go to the bookstore website, it's possible you can start the process there by putting in the course prefix and number in the bookstore site, and then it'll come back around to give you the options. Deanna, is that right? Yeah.
Indiana put that in the chat. So if you want to go to the
okay.
chat, you can see that. Next comment is, we've tried buying our books through the bookstore and have had nothing but issues. Who can we call?
Please send Zach an email after this, and we'll get you connected with the right person. And I would ask for a little patience with the bookstore. The transition to a new system, back from being somebody that we had all of the books on campus to transitioning over the summer to to Barnes and Noble platform has not been a smooth. It has not been a smooth transition for anybody. And so I'd ask for a little grace, but we can get you to the right people that can help you if you'll send Zach, let Zach know how to contact you.
All right, next question. So we need to wait until next Tuesday to order our books. Is that what I'm understanding?
No, you can, I think you can go out to the bookstore website right now and order the books. That was from the email that was sent to all students earlier today. That was my understanding of it, is that you could go to the bookstore website today and get that done. In terms of seeing the course syllabi, those will be available next Tuesday because that's part of the, it's actually legislation in the state of Texas that says the syllabi will be available before classes begin. So just the syllabi next Tuesday, but if you have not already made an effort to look at books, I think you should go out to the WT Bookstore website and start there.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. And can you just one more time talk about where students can find which books are required for their class?
Yes. So on the WT Bookstore site, when you put in the course number, and I have not done this because I'm not a student, and so we don't always have access to the same types of information. But when you go into the bookstore website, it generally will specify which books are required, which books are recommended, or which books are suggested. Again, I cannot tell you what the difference is between recommended and suggested because faculty can't even tell you that. But the biggest difference is that if it's required, you should invest and have the book, that the faculty are expecting you to have the book, to read the book, to use the book for assignments, homeworks, or whatever. So, but the bookstore site should have them clearly labeled required, recommended.
One more question about books. Is there any reason we should use Chegg or Amazon to rent or buy books to save money?
Yes, you can do whatever you wish, please. Be good stewards of your money. I think the most important thing is to make sure it's the right edition because there are times that the same book might have a different edition. And so if the edition is a different one than the faculty has, that can cause problems for assignments, for homeworks, because the page numbers may not be the same. The homework numbers may not be the same. So yes, you absolutely be a bargain shopper. That is a person after my own heart, but make sure you're comparing apples to apples.
One other word of caution when ordering your books through a third-party site, especially if they're used. Some classes, I've had students that have had issues with math classes and musical appreciation, for example, where they have to have an access code, and students will have bought a used book, and that access code is no longer valid. And so they ended up wasting money buying a used book and then have to go buy a new book. So just make sure you're verifying that when you're looking at the book and looking at your course syllabi. If it does say that it needs an access code, make sure that you stay away from used books. And then, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to go to our other question.
Oh, let me finish one more thing on the books.
Yes, ma'am.
That I'm pretty sure our bookstore has rental options as well. And so there could be some options on there also. Very sorry.
Can you talk through one more time, Rebecca, just explain where students can go to find their course syllabus?
So in student planning, when you get to, I'm not logged on right now, when you get to student planning and you detail into the course, at some point when the syllabus is available, it's going to be on there. Because they have to post it next to the class. So they're not going to, even if a faculty has their syllabus ready, and many of them already do, it's not going to be available because the system has to do an update next week. And then after they do an update, then the syllabi will be available to upload. So if you're concerned about it, my best advice is to just email that faculty member directly and ask for a copy. Just say, listen, I'm very anxious and I'd like to have this information early. And I'm going to tell you that they like that. They'll say, yes, let me send it to you. Anyway, I think if you really can't wait until next week, just send an email to the faculty and I think they'll help you.
Another question, when will the CARES Act money be released? That's a great question. If you're talking about for the upcoming fall semester, That application opened up on the 10th. I would email Carrie Neely. I can put her email in the chat. It is taking, if a student does not have direct deposit set up, it is taking several weeks. And I know over the summer it took up to a month for some of the students to get their funding. But Carrie, she is the accountant for the Division of Student Enrollment, Engagement, and Success. And she's really the best resource you have on checking the update of where your CARES Act funding is.
And we also heard in a meeting yesterday that financial aid dollars will be released on Friday. They're available 10 days before the semester begins. And so any financial aid monies that have been awarded will be released this Friday, the 14th.
All right, so are there any more questions? I think we addressed everything in the chat.
I'd like to see a real raised hand. There we go. I like that better. If you've got questions, you can ask them that way too. Zach can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself.
Yes. All right. Well, if there are no questions, I just want to again iterate how excited we are about next week and about move-in day. All of us choose to be here because we love working with students. And so best part about this summer is we've had a couple summer courses and students back in person. So we cannot wait for you to move in. When you move in, feel free to come by and say hello. The Dean's office is in the Happy State Bank Academic and Research Building. We call it the AGS for short. And we are in 262. So come by, say hello, grab an ice cream sandwich if you come by at 3 o'clock. And once again, students that are on here, just know that your faculty and your staff are excited to see you. And we understand that this is going to be a hard semester, but you're not alone. And so anytime you have a question, you're struggling with anything, we know this is hard. We know that you haven't been through a new student orientation experience. We know some of you may not have been on campus before. And so we certainly understand that, and we're here to help. And so never feel like you're a bother, never feel like you're interrupting us. Stop by, send us an email, give us a call. And parents, I want you to encourage your students to do that. They're in college. With FERPA and other regulations, there's a lot of stuff we can't share with you. And it's part of your students' journey as they're growing is to take responsibility. So when they call and they're stressed or they're afraid or they're scared or they don't know where to go, feel free to send them to me. Feel free to send them to our office. We're here hopefully to see you through in the next 4 years, 5 years, sometimes 6 years. And we're excited to have you on campus.
Don't say that.
If they choose to stick around for their masters.
Okay.
The
That's what I need to do.
average length of time is 5 years. Average is 5.
We do have some more questions that are coming through now.
Okay.
One says, my son is already on campus and loves the place. We are so excited to see that. Tell him to come by and visit us. Another good question is there a difference between AGRA 2300-02 and AGRA 2300-03?
Yes. I don't have the list in front of me, but usually section numbers. So in this particular case, the course number is 2300 and the section number are the 2-digit numbers that follow. And just as a tidbit of information for freebie, because you guys are all on here, let me just tell you that the 4-digit numbering system does have meaning, okay? The first digit is the level of class, so 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. It corresponds with freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. The second digit of the number is the number of credit hours awarded for that class. So if it's a 3, that's a 3-hour class. If it's a 4, it's a 4-hour class. So for example, AGRA 2300 is a sophomore level 3-hour class. Chemistry 1411 is a freshman level 4-hour class. Okay, so the course numbers actually mean something. The section numbers also mean something. The section numbers usually are designating a different day, time, place, and faculty. So the instructor is different, and when the class meets and who's enrolled in it are all different. And so the section number just allows us to have multiple sections of the same class that cover similar content, but there's obviously going to be some individual differences based on faculty prerogative. Some of the Agri 2300 classes have specialty populations. For example, we have separated incoming freshmen from incoming transfer students. Those are two different populations and their needs are very different. And so we also have some specialty sections for students that were very active in 4-H and FFA, and they want to continue to do that in college or after college. We have sections for pre-vet students. So in general, the section number does have delineation, but in that particular section between 2 and 3, I think it's really just a difference in day and time and who's teaching the class.
And if you joined late, we did record this meeting, and so we'll be working on getting that sent out either later this week or the start of next week, so you can go back through and see what you missed. One final question, it looks like, is if the class doesn't have a book in the bookstore, does that mean you don't need a textbook for the class?
You guys, the textbooks, I had no idea this was going to be the hot topic tonight. Yes, if there's not a book listed, historically, that is what that means. I had a young lady email several weeks ago just to confirm that information, and it is correct that the faculty submit their requirements to the bookstore well in advance, and many faculty don't have an actual textbook right then, but they may be providing it. It might be an online resource, or it might be provided in a different format. And so yes, it's possible that class does not have a required textbook.
And then Jared asked, how do we get into the FFA classes?
Oh, the section of Agri 2300, it's full, Jared, I'm pretty sure. But I can look at, if you'll make sure I know who that is, Zach, and we can look at the schedule and see if there's anything we can do for that. But it's just one section of a class, of the incoming class for leadership development that all of our incoming students take. So it was a specific section. We can look at the schedule and see if there's any seats left, or we can look at and see if we can switch things around, as long as I know who it is.
Jared, all I have is your first name. So if you can send a chat to me with your last name or Buff ID number, I'd appreciate that.
And Jared needs to be a student, right?
Yes.
Yes.
One of my daughter's classes asked for an access card. How will she get that?
Do you mind me asking what class that is?
And you can unmute yourself if you are more comfortable with that.
It's Animal Science 13-1902.
Oh, yeah. So they actually have a lab component that is ICEV, and he will talk to you about that the first day in class. But it's a web-based supplement that you use in the lab, and so yes, that will be, you will have information about that. It's probably how to purchase that will either be covered the first day in class, or it will be in the syllabus. But that's a supplement to the textbook. Good question.
Sorry, writing down. All right. Any other questions?
Hey, not a question, but a comment. You guys are awesome, first of all. You know,
Who is
I
that?
am totally navigating the college thing with my son who's already on campus. You know, cross fingers and bated breath because he's part of the football team, so I'm hoping there's a football season. But as we've navigated the whole looking for a school, and we are not from Texas, this is the place that he needed to be. And it just fits him perfectly, his major, the way the football team put their arms around him. And so, I mean, just the sense of family, the sense of belonging that they have been giving my son, even back from us taking this journey. And I mean, I can tell you, I've got probably 60 college acceptances, just like most of the parents here. Ton of acceptances, ton of information to sift through. But WT is the place that my son needed to be. Now, I mean, granted, it's at the edge of the earth because we drove from San Antonio. That's where we live right now. It's the edge of the earth, and we're still in the state of Texas. But that's the place that my guy needs to be. And oh my gosh, the athletic staff that put their arms around him, the teammates, the cadre of faculty that have sent me notes and tweeted me publicly and privately just to let me know that that guy's okay. He doesn't know I'm hovering. He doesn't know I'm hovering, you know, so don't tell him.
He knows, friend. He knows.
But he's, I mean, you know, so he's out there alone and unafraid, so to speak. And it's awesome, especially, you know, being a military guy, I'm getting ready to make the transition back east from San Antonio to actually go into higher education and teach ROTC. I leave in 2 weeks. Sorry, I leave in 1 week to go teach ROTC at a college. And so I'm going to have to do this wash, rinse, repeat all over again. And the things that I'm seeing that you guys are doing, I'm going to have to take and put in my brain and use to recruit talent to go and do something else. But I just wanted to tell you guys are awesome. You guys are rolling out all the stops for a dude that didn't think all the stops could be rolled out for. So I appreciate it. And pardon the distraction.
Well, we have another recruit with you there, it looks like.
I don't know. Let's see what he's wearing.
That's good.
Well, thank you all for your time tonight. If you do have questions or think of anything after we log off, feel free to send us an email. My email address came out with the email that was sent to you with the meeting invitation, along with Dr. Pond and Mrs. Bachman were both CC'd in that as well, and so was Deanna. So however we can help, let us know. Thank you for joining. Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.
Yep, go Buffs.
Roll damn Buffs.